So coming back, as we continue to follow the secret side mission of Steve Rogers, after the events of Dungeons of Doom, where now he's just trying to get to the bottom of the truth of what's really going on in Latveria. Well, in this one, he definitely gets to the bottom of it, and it ain't pretty. So with that said, if you're enjoying these videos, be sure to drop a like, subscribe if you're new to the channel, and don't forget to hit that bell up top to get all notifications. So as soon as this comes back, we pick up at the White House with General Ross just going off on Secretary Brooke. And the first reason why is because he just did an overnight from Romania to speak to the president, but the Secretary of State is not having that. And it's hilarious because the general's like, don't you dare, Brooke. I did an overnight from Romania. I'm trying to go face to face with the president. And again, this is the general both undermining others while also trying to bully to get his way. But Secretary Brooke, who he's been dealing with, not having it. Because when the general just calls him Brooke, he's like, hey, I'm sorry if Secretary of State isn't good enough for you, Thaddeus. But I'll keep in mind your low regard for my station when I tell the president to deploy you to the North Pole. So Ross goes to apply the pressure here because he's like, we need to move on Latveria before Salvation finds whatever weapons are still there. Because then we'll just have another Doom on our hands. So we got to take Latveria now. And I mean, he's applying pressure with the red eyes and everything. Only for Secretary Brooke to tell him, drop the red eyes. I'm not intimidated by your super anger. And then he's like, Doom tortured you. You made this far too personal. The president appreciates the knowledge you brought to the Latverian situation, but you're being reassigned. We've got this from here. So after Dungeons of Doom and everything, the general's given the thank you for your services treatment. But as we know, he's not about to just stop there. But instead, like we've seen before, the general's going to find his own way to serve his country. And it won't be long before we see what those plans are. But when we head back over to Steve and Alina Von Doom, with Steve agreeing to go with her and at least hear her out. When he does, the first thing we see him ask is if she thought about capitalizing on the name Von Doom. And she tells him here sometimes yes, to use my cousin's name and show that a Doom can push for peace. It could be powerful. But the pain people have just seeing that name, it would be too much. You're from the Second World War. If another Hitler rose after Adolf's defeat, even a peaceful one, how would people react? And that's where Cap's basically like, well, when you put it that way, but at the same time, he's not sure that hiding her name is the best choice either. But to Alina, her faction, the Homeland Party, it's bigger than just her or her name, because sometimes secrecy is needed, like now with them traveling through these tunnels to meet others. And so that's where Steve's like, yeah, so who are we meeting, by the way? Because right now, Steve's SHIELD team is out there scouring Latveria for weapons of mass destruction, while he's over here tiptoeing through the sewers with a pacifist. But Alina doesn't tell him much here. She's just like, we're making sure Latveria has a future. And when they get to the meeting spot here to kind of hang tight and wait for the others, Steve tells Alina that he spoke with the woman, the shopkeeper, about the situation here. So Alina's like, okay, what'd you learn? And Steve tells her like, yeah, she said you're gonna get killed. So Alina goes on to explain how her and Salvation, who we now know to be Marius Wolf, which was a crazy reveal, but she explains how her and Salvation are saying the same things by pushing for democracy and peace. But she also criticizes what Salvation and his faction, True Latveria, are doing. And she's paid for that criticism with 8 hours of surgery and a mind dulled by painkillers. And Alina knows she has to keep going to speak for those who are too afraid to speak for themselves. But that just has Steve like, the world doesn't need another martyr. It needs you alive so you can keep doing your work. And he tells her, I know you practice nonviolence, but this world is violent. And it's not like Alina doesn't know that, but what she's trying to get Steve to understand is that she's only able to do this by not fighting and not picking up a gun because of men like Steve who fill the other role, the role of the warrior. And you can tell she appreciates Steve and the others like him who have stepped into that role. And now back over with Steve's SHIELD team, who've made their way to check out Fury's tip on a warhead site. When they get there, they find a ton of ICBMs, but none of these ballistic missiles have a nuclear payload. And there's no trace of radiation to say that it was here and someone moved it at the last minute. But while they're here and Joe and Trevor are checking things out, Charles and Red Widow have a conversation where I have the sneaking suspicion this dude trying to put the Mac down. Because he starts off here by saying, well, what do you think, Red Widow? And she gives her opinion saying how she doesn't believe Doom would want to nuke the world and then rule what's left after. And that's what Charles is like, you're not just a killer, are you? You're something else. But Widow's just like, I'm whatever my client needs me to be, using the skills I have at my disposal. So Charles like, quite the skills, I'd say. Seeing you take out those soldiers yesterday, honestly, you move like the wind. It's beautiful. And Widow's just like, it is not. It is the result of a lifetime of torture, of grueling ordeals designed to turn me into a killer. I do not see any beauty in that. So Charles, he over here like, sure, but I don't know. So much of beauty stems from struggle, yeah? Flowers pushing through the soil, music coming through hardship. I know a little something about that. I wasn't born a killer either. I'm sorry you went through such pain, Widow. But the result, it's sublime. And in response, Widow's like, your remover of the sniper was quite good as well. And Charles is like, I know. I'm him. So yeah, you can tell he's trying to get to know Red Widow a little bit better. But given that they haven't found anything here, Trevor's like they need to go ahead and reach out to Fury and hit their next target. So that's where Joe tries to reach out to Cap, only to see that his comms are offline or being blocked somehow, and now over with Cap and Alina. When he sees who they were waiting here to meet up with it being Mara and Malor Sandu, the sibling leaders of the Latvian Liberators. This has Steve going off for a moment, because just yesterday their faction was exchanging fire with the true Latveria faction, and neither one of them cared about civilian casualties. And this dude Malor is just like, Captain America, the man who knows what's best for us. So it's not like they're super excited to see him either, because he low-key feels like Cap and S.H.I.E.L.D. are on Salvation's side already. But Alina begs Cap to hear them out, because to her, if her faction, the Homeland Party, can work together with the Latveria Liberators, it's possible that less of their people will get caught in the crossfire. Because even though the two of these guys are out here moving like the Latverian Punisher and Punisherette, Alina knows they're truly fighting for a free Latveria. And at one point here where Malor tells Steve, like, hey man, we read your record of service, the things you fought for, what you've sacrificed. We're not that different. I don't know why it sounds like, what's the difference between you and me? I'm not wearing hockey pads. Because it's like he's trying to stand here in front of Steve like they're on the same level, and they're not. But the difference Steve points out is that he doesn't kill people, and Malor's just like, that's just a part of war. There's no avoiding it. But the information Malor and his sister Mara came here to share is that they believe Salvation knows where the weapons are, and that he may even control them. And they got word from their spies that there's a master list of weapon locations in a camp 10 kilometers south of the city. So they're offering to help Cap find that list so him and S.H.I.E.L.D. can remove the weapons before they have to kill Salvation. So Steve agrees to help, but back over with General Ross, who's not supposed to be doing anything, but he's over here doing the most. Because even though he didn't get the okay from the president, he's still going forward with his plan. And what is that plan, might you ask? His plan is to make a team of Hulks. Because if there's one thing General Ross is able to do more often than not, it's finding people who are willing to bend the rules so he can have the backup and resources that he needs. And now when Trevor reaches out to Fury to let him know the farmhouse mission was a bust, Fury gives them another location to search, just under the old American embassy. And that's when Trevor tells Fury, like, okay, so I'm assuming Steve went and met up with you to join you on whatever your secret mission is. And Fury's like, damn it, Steve, he most definitely did not. Then he tells Trevor he'll meet him at the old embassy and to go radio silent until he gets there, because they don't know who else could be listening. And now surely enough, Salvation, he hears the conversation from the farmhouse. But when he's asked if he should send men in, he's just like, no, because Salvation's just gonna wait for the moment that Fury's crew finds Doom's weapons. Then he's gonna blow them to pieces. Then back over with Steve and the others when they get to the camp to find the master list of weapon locations. He's told here that they're not expecting heavy resistance. Even still, Steve's like, keep it stealth, and Malor jams their radio signal so they can keep all of this contained. But when they go in and they're taking down these soldiers, Malor is already trying to get those kill numbers. But Cap stops him like, man, I said no killing. And the whole way in, Cap's just thinking like, man, what did I get myself into? I can't trust either one of these two. So he tries to keep them all together and search one building at a time while he's the lookout. But really, Steve's just doing this so he can keep an eye on the both of them. And then that's when Malor is like, man, this is taking too long. And he's like, we should split up. But as soon as Malor goes his own way, this dude gets spotted. Like, dude, if you don't get your finesse impaired behind back here, because I mean, it wasn't but a few steps before this guy drew some attention. So now Cap's got to knock down the dude that spotted Malor by doing the shield toss, only for Cap's shield toss to get spotted by another guy. So now the whole stealth option is just gone, because the second dude just yelled intruders and now everybody's coming. And I imagine Malor doesn't mind this too much, because he just wanted to bust his guns anyway. And again, Cap looks over to him like, hey man, don't kill nobody. But Malor's just like, don't worry, Captain. I'm an excellent shot. And he holds to it by just going for kneecaps and non-lethal hits. But while more men are coming to stop them, Cap notices a couple others making their way to a jeep for some backup. And Cap knows if these guys are able to grab reinforcements, then they're done. So he catches up to these guys on foot and climbs into the jeep to try and stop them, which then has him wrestling with his big bald-headed dude Emil just before the driver goes flying off a cliff because he was too busy watching the fight. And now I know Captain America's been saying no killing this whole time, but it kind of looks like he gave Emil the ejectocito treatment here. Just saying. But now when they come crashing down, Steve goes flying right into a pit filled with bodies. And now like we saw, Steve already heard the rumors of Salvation killing people who either spoke against him or didn't agree with him, but he had no idea how many people there were who were killed for not falling in line. So for a moment here, Captain America, he goes off like he thinks he's back in World War II, because the next thing you see is his shield just fly out of this pit and push this dude's junk back. And now when Steve catches the shield and he climbs out of that hole, this man switches into straight up brawler mode, because now he's just seeing red. So he literally goes and he beats up the whole camp. And I mean everybody gets it. And it's to the point where Steve's not even using the shield for defense, it's all offense. Cause when he gets shot, he's like, whatever, I'm not done. And I mean it, when I say everybody here gets packed up, it's no exaggeration, because when he's done, the camp is clear. Like, this man did a full sweep. And now this whole time while Fury's trying to reach out to Cap, Steve can't hear none of that because he's already popped his ultimate and he's going in. And now when Mara comes over to stop Cap from turning this dude into Clayface, she also has a confession to make, because her and her brother lied about there being a master weapons list. And the truth is, the list they came for was a list of the dead, because they wanted to bring answers back to the victims' families. But even they didn't know what they were going to find here, since Salvation's been using Doom's anti-surveillance technology to hide this location from any drones. And now when Steve eventually responds to Nick Fury, he lets him know that he found a mass grave filled with people that Salvation's murdered. And in response, Fury's like he suspected as much. And Fury's plan going forward is to tell his higher-ups, who are basically the patrons who got S.H.I.E.L.D. up and running. So with many of them being part of the UN, they're going to get the UN to assess the situation. And once the coalition is formed and ratified, Fury's like Salvation will deny it, of course. But when the forensics are finished, they may have what they need to make the next move. But Steve stops him right there. And he's like, no, he killed them. This ends now. I'm going after him, Nick, with or without you. And God help you if you stand in my way. So yeah, now that Steve's secret side mission is complete, he knows without a doubt that Salvation, the dude sitting up in Castle Doom, he's just a Temu version of Doom with a splash of Hitler. So yeah, with that said, if you enjoyed the video, be sure to drop a like and let me know if you think Steve's going overboard or if you think he's showing up with the right energy here. And so now real quick, I want to give a special shout out to all the patrons. Thank you guys for all of your support. And for anyone who's new here who wants more information on how to support the channel, I got a link below where you can go to patreon.com/DopeSpill. But that'll do it for this one, guys. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below, and we'll do it again on the next one. Alright, later.